Phones.
All right, Killian, we always start with a rando sound effect.
Moot point. An issue which no satisfactory answer is found.
This is all a moot point.
The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf! Ma, the meatloaf!
Like a cow's opinion.
I've had it with this dump!
Pretty good production, right?
Got no jobs!
Moot point.
Our pets' heads are falling off!
It's all a moot point. Doesn't matter.
Welcome to the Moot Points podcast, everybody. Special guest, along with myself, Brian Moote, and as always, Patrick Moote. Sometimes, unfortunately. Kidding. Did you just quote Edgar?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. We have the youngest of the Moote clan, Killian Moote. Killian, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here in an actual studio.
Why? Oh, first thing he does is just talk a bunch of trash. Don't make me stop, clap, rant you right out the gates.
Killian, what a treat this must be for you.
Does AMP Radio know you guys are even in here?
Yeah, our assistant program director, John Michael, just walked by, looked at me, and gave me a thumbs up. When he doesn't know who's in the studio with me. He can just see the back of the heads. Yeah. What Killian is commenting about is the wild upgrade to the technological components of this studio. I mean, I have buttons that make noises.
It's crazy.
I have multiple microphones.
Everybody's got a pair of headphones.
We got headphones on. Well, you got to have headphones on so you can hear this. Okay, let's go to the tab is fun effects. Ready, Killian?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, isn't that good?
It's way better than Pat's iPhone, which is usually what you guys are using.
Now, when Patrick...
Everything's better than my iPhone.
When Patrick...
I destroy those pieces of trash.
Well, how do you destroy it? With one of these?
Yeah, that's right. Shoot it out of a cannon.
Pretty awesome.
I don't need this phone. You can't talk to me anymore.
When Pat gets to be a little bit too much on the show, sometimes I'll hit him with something like this.
Yep.
Because sometimes he gets a little bit worked up.
And then I'll say things like, too soon, Brian.
Oh, yeah? Do you want to say something else? Look at this.
See, I can get down on this all day. All day.
So, Killian, this is basically what we do. Now, we don't really know what we're doing with these things. We just kind of push buttons.
Yep.
And
that's how it works, right?
it's pretty fun.
It's like reaching your hand into a homeless guy's pocket. You never know what's going to come out of it.
Wow.
I know.
Are you kidding me?
Have you ever tried it?
No, is that a thing that you've done, though?
Yeah, of course.
Wait,
It's
have
like
you
a
really?
game, yeah. It's called Dangerous, Not Dangerous.
What,
You reach in the pocket and you feel around and you're like,
Is this like a
bit
bit I'm gonna have to shoot you off the microphone with a cannon on, or is this like an actual story like you had to help?
He's just riffing.
Oh, actually today I tried to give a homeless lady as I was getting off the freeway $1, but she was trying to grab my whole hand and I kept pulling it back. So eventually I just dropped and it fluttered into the street.
It's a bold move.
I didn't want her to touch me.
When I was in Paris for Christmas, we were walking down we were going across this bridge to the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and there's all these kids that come up to you. And I don't know what their ethnicity is. I don't
French.
No, they definitely were not French.
I don't know.
I mean, they were definitely like refugees, Killian. I'm trying not to be rude here. They were they look like gypsy folk from
French Italian refugees.
They were not French.
Okay.
They weren't French by origin, and they were coming up to us and they were holding this clipboard thing, this like some sort of like an old clipboard that said that they were deaf and dumb, and they wanted us to support the deaf and dumb kids. And I thought it was just a petition to sign, and I signed. And at the end of it, you're supposed to write like your name and country, and at the end of it, it's like how much am I going to donate, right? And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, hold on. I don't.
You got took.
And I'm trying to talk, and she's pointing at her ears, going like, I don't know. She's just pointing at the thing, and she's like acting all dumb, and deaf, acting the part. Which that's so rude to be deaf and dumb. It's like just because you can't speak or hear and speak doesn't mean that you're an idiot.
Whoever gave them the clipboards though is kind of a jerk because how are you supposed to like talk? You can't really
Pat, it's clearly a scam, and whoever gave him the clipboard is probably a large man with a baseball bat or something. Like if you try to mess with him, he comes out of the alleyways and whacks you or something like that. So anyways, I open my wallet and I give her €10, and then she starts looking in the wallet like to see if I have more to like try to stick her hands inside the wallet to grab more money. Now, my girlfriend's brother-in-law, Eric, had a one too many drinks to be putting up with these shenanigans. So he's just like, he signed the thing and he's like, no. And she looks at it and she goes like, screw you, and then in like almost perfect English, and left. And I was like,
wow.
Damn, I got suckered so bad.
Yeah, you did. I thought it was just a story about how you hated homeless people, Brian.
No, I don't hate
there's
homeless
a
people at all.
redemption there.
I don't hate homeless people. I've always been an advocate for treat homeless people with respect, and they will in turn respect you back. That has backfired when I've tried to like explain that to people. Like a good friend of ours, comedian Jeff Dye, always told me like, dude, they're gonna yell at you. Don't even make eye contact with homeless people. We're in Boston. And I go, nah, man, just treat them like individuals with respect and dignity. And this guy, the next homeless guy we see, the guy goes, do you have any money? I was like, nah, man, I don't, but you have, like, how's your day going? He goes, how the hell you think my day's going? Like, screams at me. Like, this old white man. And I was like, woo, jeez. Well, the reason I brought up that story, Killian, I don't even know if this segues very well, but Killian is, when are you speaking, this weekend? South by Southwest? Monday. Mm-hmm. So Killian is the one in the family who's still doing something of any sort of reputable in terms of moral fabric and ethics, and trying to pull the family out of a negative karma nosedive.
I got blocked by Eric Trump on Twitter, so it's not like I'm irrelevant.
Pat's doing some Lord
service.
work.
I'm doing some stuff.
He's doing some Lord work. Some of the Lord's work. So, but it's like, is it anti-human trafficking or is it
pro?
What is it now?
No,
Is it
it's
pro-human
pro trafficking.
Well, I mean, if
gone to the other
not
side.
even,
I
I
learned the
wasn't
business.
saying was it anti in terms of for or against. But he speaks on other things besides human trafficking. Like,
No, it's generally tech and social good. So
see,
South
look
by
at that, Pat.
Southwest.
Tech and social good.
Say what? I have no
That's
idea.
what you get, Pat.
I have no
doesn't
idea.
know.
That
For
was
being wrong.
My sense of pride just got taken out bat and shot. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so explain what you're doing at South by Southwest on Monday.
Well, it's South by Southwest. It's a part of the interactive section. So it's really focused on technology and how you can use tech, particularly modern tech, to address human rights issues.
Okay, so like give us an example of what that even means.
For example, I'm speaking with a great organization called Thorn, which is Ashton Kutcher's organization, and they do a lot of great work seeing how you can use tech to address sextortion and sexual trafficking.
Whoa, big words,
What is
buzzwords.
sextortion?
Those sound like hashtag
What is
words.
sextortion?
Please elaborate.
I don't know what reading level we should be explaining these things to you guys.
Really rudimentary, like coloring book reading level, picture book.
Hold on, it just sounds like an interesting word. Like I know it's a combination of extortion with sexual components. That's probably exactly what the definition is. I just wanted to ask you what it was to be able to play this. I thought that'd be funny if you were
Killian,
explaining it.
If you find a spy on the inside, are they a sexpionage? Are they working in sexpionage? There it is.
It's good. You got that joke.
Get
You nailed it.
'em!
All right, so just explain it what it is generally.
So essentially, it's a newer concept with kids where they'll share sexually explicit photos with either an adult or maybe a peer, and then that person will use the fact that they've shared that sexually explicit photo to get them to do more. So either share more photos.
So threatening them like, hey, if you don't do something else,
Yeah, exactly.
then I'm going to tell your parents or I'm going to put this on the internet.
Exactly.
People do that to. I was like, wait, what does your organization do? Okay, so that's something. Okay. I
Yeah,
gotcha.
you're fighting against it. So
Yeah.
reading level for
Word.
Pat, intro 101.
Dude,
here.
color. It's the picture book reading level.
It's not even
You
there.
got to explain it like
So
like
it's things like that. It's all looking at modern technology and how far we've advanced in the past 10 years and what are the downside and way technology can further human rights or abuses among children, and how can we use technology to then address it.
Why is it called? Yeah. Why is it real?
Just kind of lighten it up a little bit.
real boner killer.
Wow. It's supposed to be, idiot. What are you talking about?
Let's just move on. No. Hey, so why is it called Thorn? Is it because you guys are a thorn in the side of the old sex trafficking industry?
Oh, no, hold on a second. When Pat has a bad joke, it's just him jumping off a boat.
I just dive headfirst into bad joke.
Get out of here.
Fully commit.
All right, keep going. What were you,
I don't even want
now
to
he
respond
just
to that.
brought it to an absolute
Exactly
train
what I
wrecked it. That was what you just did right there, Pat.
You'd have to ask Ashton why he named his organization
Thorn.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've always wanted to ask you this, Killian. Do you ever get nervous because when you Google Patrick and I, you don't find the greatest of things?
Oh, that's hilarious.
And have you ever been nervous that, because you're in a field where people are going to look at you as an expert on these pretty heavy topics and things that, in the corporate world, especially with working with foundations, have you ever been nervous? Because I have felt an extra amount of pressure to mitigate some of the damage that's already been out there in terms of me or Pat and further prevent any more from ever happening. Does that ever make you nervous?
You know, it did at one point, but then Pat made a movie about his penis.
Yeah.
And since I wasn't in the movie.
That's right.
Well, I don't know if
We
it's an
kinda-
appropriate
okay.
sound effect for the.
I was looking
how
out
about
for
this
your
one?
best interest.
Yeah, do that one. That's more appropriate.
I don't really know what it is, but it makes me laugh. Well, no, okay, that's a perfect example, right? Because you work in the anti-sextortion and the other whatever thing you did.
And then your ding-dong brother made a movie about his penis.
Yeah,
but it's ding dong.
But the solution to that was me not being in your movie and then you writing me out of the family. So
Yeah, that's
now,
right.
Oh, that's
plausible
right.
deniability, I
Yeah.
technically
You
am
don't
probably
exist.
Not, yeah,
That's a good point.
Killian was
related
like,
to you two idiots.
Killian was like, we were doing interviews, and I was like, do you want to be a part of one of the interviews? And he was like, I'm not going to be in your penis movie, bro. And then I was like, well, then you're not in the family. So
exactly.
you're out. The first time he watched it, it literally starts with like, my name's Patrick Moote. I grew up on Woodby Island with my parents, Joanne and Peter, and my brother, Brian. And
That's it.
And we actually had
No
pictures.
and
one
as a
else.
family.
We had pictures from when Killian was alive that he wasn't in. It was just me, Brian, Mom, and Dad. And Killian was alive at that point.
I don't know what was going on
chose
there.
to take an extra picture
Mom and Dad was
without
like, we
you in it.
Still don't know if we
They're
like this
we
one.
might give this one back, so let's just do us. And
Well,
then
so
we'll
that's
be-
interesting that you had that foresight, though. So, but even then, so you would have been what, a junior in college, and Pat shot the movie Unhung Hero. By the way, everybody, go. Can they check it out anywhere? Is it
Yeah,
over?
they can check it out.
Where? How? What?
My
And what?
apartment. You just got to come over.
Ooh.
Just kidding.
All right, weird.
It's not a very long movie. It's a short.
Wow.
It's available. It's available on iTunes and Hulu, I think, and Amazon, so you can rent it.
You got to
but
rent
it's
it.
Not
Did
on
you-
Netflix.
Did you ever
anymore.
get? Because
You have to pay for it.
Yeah, they hosed you on some of the money.
Yeah, that's right.
hosed. You hear
Hosed. I
that?
did get hosed.
Did you ever? Was that resolved? I don't want to tell people.
I mean,
I don't
I-
want to tell the strong fan base of the Moote Points podcast to go download this movie if you're not getting anything.
I'm gonna get some. I'll get mine. Don't you worry about it. Yeah, it's. I kind of figured it out. Got way less money than I should have. Than I was supposed to. Make it way less money than I should, and supposed to again later. But yeah, I got
That made
Yeah, you just
sense.
spoke entirely in a riddle. There we go, Killian. Killian's got the hang of it. Look at that. He's already hitting sound effects.
firing
Pat,
up
and
the
he's only
old,
been on the show
chopper.
for
Oh
10
well,
minutes.
I can't wait till you show him how to mute me. That's the
Well,
best.
I don't feel like I need to anymore. I felt bad that one day I muted your microphone like 9 times.
I was on fire though. I was
You
being
were in-
hilarious.
You were in rare form.
I was being the most funny.
I will say that
All the funny.
I do think it's kind of unfair now, though. Now that let's talk about the internet and the things that are. So I've always felt like, oh man, that's gonna be rough. Killian one day is gonna run for public office, and they're gonna find a picture, like a video of me humping a stool at a comedy club at like 1 a.m, saying something like stupidly offensive. But now I kind of look at it now like, would that even be a scandal?
Oh, no.
That's not even close.
You know what's funny is that Jed Bush probably used to say that about George W. Bush, and then W became president. Where W was like, oh,
Right.
I'm going to ruin this for everybody because I've been such a crazy man in college. I was
How long you
drinking
been-
all the time.
How long have you been working on that impression?
I don't
That
know. It
is
just came out of nowhere. It's pretty good.
Jeez, that's
and
really
Jed's like,
impressive.
oh, this guy's going to embarrass me. And then it's like, whoops, psych. I'm president now. It's crazy.
What, Killian, from like a PR standpoint, because you work in that area, what would it take at this point, in your opinion? Like after the political landscape now in America, what would it take to even be a scandal at this point?
I mean, you still have scandals. It's more and more with individuals and their individual conduct in these organizations. So whether that's, nonprofits and foundations aren't immune to the Me Too movement, and when these power dynamics, it's I think the biggest risk that these potential individuals still run. So,
Yep.
I don't
Killian,
think
you
people
start talking all smart.
I
We
know,
got to
I'm
hit the
sorry.
slide whistle.
Where's the
I'm trying to dumb it
crickets?
down a little bit.
Well, I
too.
ask
Or
you.
the snooze?
I ask you. No, it's not a snooze-worthy thing. He actually has like legitimate points. Killian hits this speaking cadence when he's giving a thoughtful answer, where it sounds
Puts
like
you
we
to
should be
sleep.
taking. No, Killian.
No, it's all
not
right. No,
fair.
yeah.
Not fair. Do you need any like opening like jokes for your presentations? What do you open with when you do these things?
What I open with?
Yeah, what's your
I just
hot
steal
open?
your your old bits that you don't use anymore.
Which
I talk
ones?
about drunk camping.
Oh yeah,
good
classic.
one.
classic.
Dick
Classic.
Cheney shooting people in the face.
Yeah,
On
dude, that one.
accident.
That's
Not-
a closer right
Not
there,
even a
Patrick.
scandal anymore. All right, so what were we talking about on the way in? You're talking about Killian's dirty face.
Oh,
when he
yeah,
was a kid.
Killian was a dirty kid.
Why were you? He was little Pigpen from.
He was.
From the Peanuts.
Yeah, I saw a picture of Catherine, Killian's fiance, wonderful gal, Kathy, she likes to be called.
Does she like to go by Kathy?
No, she hates it.
Everyone hates it, right? If they're a Catherine.
She doesn't respond to it.
She won't. So Killian calls her
won't
Kathy all the
acknowledge
time.
it.
Somehow I've found a way to engage her in a conversation, then slip in a Kathy, and she'll start talking, and then she'll be like, dang it. Yeah, we can get her. But I don't even remember why I brought up Kathy
Dirty
wanted to
face.
do that. Oh, yeah, she sent a picture to the family of Killian when he was a kid crying, and it reminded me that when Killian was a kid, we'd make fun of him for being dirty. Then he would start to cry and make little dirt streaks down his face, to which would make us laugh harder, to which would make him cry harder. And then he'd talk to himself and walk around on the field kicking horse poop and stuff.
I mean, I don't know if much has changed, though. I probably still, if I cried today, I'd have dirt streaks on my face. So.
Fair.
I think
you did smell like sour milk at the gym today.
Did I?
Jeez, man.
You did.
I mean, you're really crushing him right now.
Sorry.
That's fine. No, I'll
Talking
take
about when
it.
he was a kid, and all of a sudden you come in here. By the way, you have your STD freshly tested arm.
Yeah, that's
and so
right.
you're throwing Killian under the bus for being dirty, Pat. You want to elaborate on that?
This is how you make sure you're not dirty. You check your blood for cooties.
You don't know yet, though. Do you? Do you have to wait to get an
I have
email
to wait.
back?
Yeah.
How-
To be clear, anyone that I've slept with recently, I am not worried about anything. It's just we should all do it.
I'm glad
we should all get tested.
on this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about some other things. I mean, you guys were more than welcome to come up with some topics to
No,
talk about.
I don't
I
want
was
to.
pulling meltdowns of Bill O'Reilly for trying to just listen to the best meltdowns in news media history, but you guys snuck in here a little too early. And unfortunately, we're trying to hit happy hour after the end of this podcast. So
Yeah, baby.
But Pat, so in the next 24 hours, are you just going through your head like
I'm just
thinking
running
about all
through
the
the
worst
Rolodex.
case scenario?
You know,
Rolodex.
I'd
huh?
love to. Yeah, no, Brian knows about how I slump. When I slump, it's like 6-8 months where it's like, I don't even remember when I had sex last. So I'm not trying to think about it because the 2 times that I got laid in the last like 10 months.
I like the idea that Killian wasn't thinking about like the potential ramifications of us just running our mouths and not doing anything until I brought it up before, like during this podcast, and now I could see on his face.
He's like,
I can see on his face like regretting it. Well, I was gonna say like it's kind of unfair growing up because Killian took just like a brunt of physical abuse, right? Would you say that's fair?
well, because,
Physical and emotional, I'm still working through it.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are
I
you
had to
serious?
create
From
psychological
us.
warfare with him because he was bigger than me at like 9.
No,
so
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh. I mean, that's
Physical
fair,
abuse,
though.
yes.
That's fair, though, to say that the physical abuse may have led to emotional
I don't
abuse.
think that it hurt him when I was fighting
God,
him,
this is
though.
getting real
because I was
dark.
so
This is going
small.
all over the place,
I was
huh?
so
All right,
little.
hold on, I got it.
I was like a little girl until I was 25.
I got this. That should lighten it up, right?
Charge into more conversations about STDs.
I was going to say, no. I was going to
Have
say.
you guys ever had an STD? Let's talk about that.
That's what you're doing right now, Pat.
Me walking into a room with the lights on.
No, this is what you're doing literally to the podcast right now. No, I would say physical abuse because I was thinking back. I was like, man, like the youngest always has to be the toughest by default, right? I mean,
I don't. When you say physical abuse, it sounds so
Like we
more
beat
I
you.
know.
severe than it
like,
was.
wasn't
No,
it-
we're
just like accidents and just you were
Sure.
always the
Well,
smallest.
I was the clumsiest too. I mean, I broke both my legs.
Oh,
both my
yeah.
arms,
You were like
by the
Mr.
time I was
Glass when you were a kid.
How did you break both your legs?
At different times. So-
Walking.
yeah, basically.
I thought you didn't break them at the same time.
Yeah, at different times I broke them.
What was the time that you? Yeah, I remember. I was gonna say the time that you broke something. We had a. Didn't you like slide down the couch on a?
No, I didn't. I didn't break anything on there. On that.
Oh,
one.
that was just you being clumsy. And
Yeah,
jumping.
that was exactly. I
Oh,
mean,
that
there's
was
just
funny.
So many different opportunities.
He got a little couch for his room for Christmas.
Oh, that
and it
was
was on a frosty
so
deck.
awesome.
It was sitting on a frosty deck, and he comes bombing down the living room hallway. He's like, yeah, here we go. I'm gonna do it, and then hits the stairs and slides across the deck and down the stairs into the yard. Just
Yep. Crash Master. He didn't do it on purpose either.
No, definitely
Like, he
not.
was just running to jump on the couch like a big idiot, like a big goofball, and landed on it, and it just shot down
Yeah.
the stairs because it was like a sheet of ice.
what's the
Seemed like a
worst?
good idea.
What's the worst injury you ever had growing up?
I mean, I think getting kicked by the horse. That was the worst by far.
Where did you get? When
That was
when
a
did
compound
happen?
fracture. It almost.
Oh.
yeah, it was
Where?
bad.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it was
What's
a
this
bad
horse's
one.
name? Dog food?
The funniest thing about it.
Hold on.
It is now.
The
I mean,
worst.
I think that this is probably the best commentary about the family. So I get kicked by the horse. I obviously fall off. So I'm riding one horse, and this other horse kicks and hits me. And so I fall off the horse. And Mom doesn't ask if I'm okay. she just starts yelling at me to get up and get the horse because it's running away.
Wow.
So I try to stand up and immediately collapse, and that's
yeah.
when I realized my leg was broken.
Parenting 101.
She's done
Yell
that. I mean,
first.
she did that one time where we used to do that thing where we would ride. She'd probably kill me for telling the story, but I don't care. I think statute of limitations.
She's gonna rag
are up
on mom
this.
because I got a couple stories too.
Probably
She's not
not.
here.
I don't know. I don't know how she listens to the podcast.
Never.
But no, it was when we were driving through. So we lived in the country, and we were driving through a field, a big rolling field that our friends owned. And my mom would let us drive with the sliding door of the car open. And we
I
were
think it was her idea. I don't think she let us. I think she opened it.
She was like, "Get down there, you little baby."
No, it was definitely, well, okay, may not have been her idea, but I mean, I was like probably 11 years old or whatever, so it's like nothing can really be my idea. I'm just, I'm like running it. I'm just running it by management. I'm like, hey, what do you think if we like drove with the sliding door open in this van? I mean, why do they even have sliding doors if we can't drive with the sliding door open? And Killian fell out of the car and had his leg run over by the car to the point at which
Both
had
of them.
tire tracks.
That's a common story that's told, but I think somebody pushed me out. I'm not going to lie.
I
think we
Why
need
did
to
you
open
look
this
directly at me
investigation.
when you said that?
Because
Because
think
I
it was
pushed
a,
you,
I
little
think it was a
bitch.
situation where like because this field had rolling hills, and so we'd be like, whoa! Everyone's like jumping around in the car without seatbelts, and I do think someone probably ended up nailing you and knocking you out. But the best part was that she immediately was trying to do damage control with Killian, where she was trying to convince him
You're okay. You're fine. You're fine. You're good.
and
You're good.
not to tell anybody what happened. Basically.
So we made it this far. Now we're talking about it on the podcast.
No, I think another one of my favorites was apparently I don't even remember this. I was like 4. Patrick, I think, pushed me off a picnic table.
Yeah, that's right.
And I got this huge hematoma on my face. And I go to daycare the next day. I don't know why I'm laughing about this. And,
Because it's funny?
Yeah, it's
It
hilarious.
is really funny.
And the teacher comes up to me and says, like, "Oh, Killian, what happened to your face?" I just look her dead in the eyes and go, "Mommy did it."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Killian took a bullet for me. I told him, I was like, if you tell your teacher that I did that, I swear to God.
You got to cue to me when
So-
you're going to mention taking a bullet. I got a sound effect.
Here's my awesome mom story. I was like a sophomore in high school. I was late on a project and I wanted to skip school that day, but she wouldn't let me. And I had already like skipped school a bunch, had a history of like faking being sick so I wouldn't have to go to school because school stinks. And oh yeah, here we go. Let's stop clamp rant, baby, because this is bull-oni.
He's
bogus.
he's getting fired
Here
up,
we go.
man. I can hear
I'm
it
not
coming.
feeling good. I'm late for a project, so I tell my mom I need to stay home one extra period, just one period to finish the health project. All of a sudden, my stomach starts to hurt. Mom comes in and is like, "Your stomach doesn't hurt. You're just trying to skip school again. You're going to school. God damn it." She throws me in the car. We start going. All of a sudden, I'm like, "Mom, my stomach hurts so bad. It hurts real bad." And then I start throwing up everywhere, and she's like, "Stop faking it. Stop faking it." I'm like, "You can't fake throw up, Mom. What's wrong with you? You used to be a nurse." We get all the way to school. She makes me get out of the car as I'm walking in. I start puking up blood. Yeah, that's right. Red blood out my mouth. So she's like, "Okay, maybe he's not faking it." So she takes me to the doctor. Doctor takes one look at me and he's like, "Hey, this kid's appendix is about to burst." And she tried to make me go to school. Call yourself a nurse. What kind of mothering is that? Whew. So I
probably could have hit that during the stomp clap rant. That was a good seed killing that. So if you have a rant, you want to rant.
if you want to rant, suck it, Mom.
I don't know.
Totally rant.
think about it.
She never really. She
I'm
never.
all sweaty.
I once tried to.
That was pretty aggressive.
Thank you.
She probably thought. Yeah, you see that vein start
Yeah,
coming out
no,
of his head?
totally.
Crazy vein.
Like now the problem is that when he does a stomp clap rant, like I can't do one because I can't. At this point in time in my day, I've been up since 4:15. I don't have the energy to muster up that much like fury where like you're sweating and there's a vein coming out of your head to even like yell as loud as you did.
Can't match the intensity.
I think the reason that Mom thought you guys were, I tried to fake being sick like 1,000 times. Like I thought I was brilliant at that. I used to fake it all the time. And I remember once I got busted as a kid. But when I got busted for this one, then I knew how to get around it the next time because it was like a process of trial and error. And what I did was I had one of those forehead thermometers, and I didn't know what it meant when she looked at it, but I knew I had to be hot.
It was hot.
And so I stuck it on the lamp, the glass lamp next to me on the couch. And I had that sucker probably, I'm going to say it probably had to be a good 130 degrees.
Yeah.
And so
Mom's
she
like,
comes.
"You're dead."
She comes in, and I didn't know that. I'm like an 8-year-old, so I don't know there's even like a level of fever in which you're dead, like you're a dead person on the Oregon Trail, right there. Right?
You're double the legal limit. I don't know what that.
So I hold it right. I hand it to her, and I'm like, I'm not feeling good. I hand it to her. She's like, Brian, did you put this on the lamp? And I'm like, no. She's like, yes, you did. I'm like, how do you know? She's like, because you'd be dead if this is how hot you were. And I'm like, ding. You should not have told me that.
So how warm could I be before death? Because that's where I feel like I am.
I think I asked a teacher at school, and I was like, hey, so like how hot can your fever be before you die? And my teacher was like, that's a weird question, but 106, 107 degrees. I was like, duly noted. Next time I'll be a 101.2.
Also, I'll be out of school next week. So.
I'm going to fake the entire thing. So, Killian, when you did not go to high school at the same high school that we went to. And I don't know, we never really like talked about the differences, whether you look back now and we're happy about it. Killian went to Seattle and went to an all-boys private school. Now, the obvious is that you loved it because you guys won a state championship in basketball, and Pat and I, we did not even come close.
My team lost 40 games in a row.
It's pretty impressive.
That's almost harder than a state
I think
championship,
that's harder.
to be completely honest.
I mean, it's easier to attain, but everyone's going to have to throw the game.
See, it was actually 39 or 1 in 39, but there was a bunch of round robin games in there, probably about 15 or 20. And we lost all those too.
As a freshman, though, because I remember my parents wanted me to go to school for Seattle. We grew up in Seattle, kind of. Our families did, at least. And they wanted me to go to school in Seattle. And I pitched an absolute fit and wouldn't do it. I got into, I believe, Blanchette High School.
I got into Blanchette, too.
And I refused to go. I wanted to skateboard and hang out with my friends. What was that process like? Were you happy you did it, or would you look back and wish you would have gone to the public school in Woodby Island?
I mean, it's hard to say, but it definitely wasn't my choice.
He was so sad.
Mom always had this thing where she would be her idea, and then she would convince me that was my idea.
Right.
And you wanted to go here.
That's just called like mom jujitsu right there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like talk you into something that they want you to do.
You've always wanted an appendicitis, Patrick. Oh, really?
You know what's funny?
Really?
I hit the squealing car because I thought you were going to tell the story about how mom made you go to school on a snow day and you crashed.
Oh, I did. Yeah, she forced me to drive in the snow, and I crashed Dad's only new car ever.
Clearly, mom didn't care that much about you. All right, keep going, Killian.
Yeah, I mean, so it was. In the long term, it was great. I mean, I loved it, but the first year was really tough. I didn't know anybody. I was going to Seattle. We grew up in the country. I had dirt all over my face going into school in the city. I mean,
you always needed a haircut every time
Lucky
I saw
it was
you.
an all-boys
still
school.
always need.
I don't know. How is that possible? You can get a haircut, and 10 minutes later, you still need a haircut.
Killian would get like bedhead without even having napped or slept. Like he'd get up, take a shower, mom would like brush his hair, and then all of a sudden it just
I was always jealous.
bang.
I thought he had curly hair.
Yeah, just stand straight up.
I thought he had body. He had volume.
So what happens when you don't shower? Brian?
Envious volume.
Your hair starts growing.
What
hair.
was it? Was there any point in time which you just like flat out was like, I can't do this? And
I mean, there was a good period there where I didn't think I was going to make it 6 weeks. So it was always this kind of continue. The first year was like, make it 6 weeks. If you make it 6 weeks and you don't like it, then
then we'll reevaluate.
Make it through basketball season. If you don't like it, then we'll reevaluate. Make it to the end of the year if you don't like it.
Make it to your senior year, and then if you don't like it, you can go to college.
Then you're out of here anyways. I mean, at the end of the day, it was awesome. I loved it. I wouldn't change.
Won a state championship
decision. But it's just hard when you're moving from the country, growing up in a town where like people have mud boots and
bonfires.
Yeah,
we had bonfire. Like a party
yeah.
we'd have growing up in the country was we'd have a bonfire. We'd make paper airplanes and we'd throw them through the fire as if we were having like some sort of like old school paper plane war where you were hoping you wanted to see how many times your plane could catch on fire and still fly.
It's awesome. And I'm so good at that now I have to get STD tests all the time because it got me laid so many times. The paper airplane game got me laid like all the time. So late.
Carry on, Killian.
I don't even remember what these sound effects are supposed to mean.
That just means Pat had a just terrible joke.
Oh, okay.
He's in the pool.
Do you have
by
one for a good joke?
He's in the
'Cause I
pool
haven't
by
heard it
himself.
yet.
Yeah, I got one from a great joke. Actually, no, that's the sound effect for when we're talking about something way too serious. All right, I'll tell you. I got one for a good joke right here. Let's see. We're gonna go to this one. Well, I could have told this when you were telling the horse story.
It's a stampede of funny. Hee-haw!
Problem is that this number board right here, I don't really know what the numbers. I'm starting to learn some of them. Like I know these are all weapons right here. You know, like it's pretty cool. I can simulate an entire war over
actually,
here.
we have crickets over here too.
Well, that's thunder. I just thought of something I was going to say, and then we got sidetracked by San Francisco. Then you went from private school in Seattle, where you did win a state championship in basketball, in which my dad said was the proudest moment of his life, which hurt because at the time I was playing college basketball, but on a very mediocre school at a very small division, and he was like, "This is the proudest moment of my life." I was like, "What about when I graduate from college in like 2 years, or graduate school in 6 years,
or the birth
whatever.
of any of us?"
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah. Nope. Not even close.
But it's funny. It was my accomplishment, but somehow it was the proudest moment of his life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all got to steal each other's successes somehow.
I also feel like mom and dad were just over raising kids by the time I went to high school.
100% they were over it.
It was like.
I remember I was helping her clean out. We had this side house that we built like this. My mom had always dreamed about being able to send the kids to like another house on the property, basically.
Which she called the Rumpus House.
Rumpus House, which
we
called
would
the
never
pool.
get.
We couldn't afford boarding school, so they just built a second.
Yeah, so why don't you guys go Rumpus?
Well,
we
it's
know how to Rumpus.
It's like one of those things where
Rumpusing.
I don't know if you can look back and remember all the times your parents like told you to go play outside or go play upstairs or take this out. They just wanted you to leave them alone and stop making noise around them. My mom had this dream of like, because our house wasn't big enough, we kept adding on to it. We kept making new rooms for people as we were growing and stuff. And so instead, my mom was just like, we're building another house across the driveway. So we built another house across the driveway, and we all kind of have our stories from that place because it was a house that was around from the time I was in 7th grade on until, probably still there now. By
the time we got to high school, there's a fair amount of rumpusing going on.
Yeah, it became a rumpus house.
It became a rumpus house.
So I remember we were going up. We climbed up the ladder. It had like one of those pull-down ladder stairs to the top floor. We go to that floor, and there is just a bong sitting on a table. Just a bong sitting on a table. Of course, there are bongs on the table up in that room.
Tons.
But there's a bong up there. And I'm like, my mom's like, "Oh my God, look at that. Look what I just found." And I'm like, "Oh, damn, Killian and his buddies are in so much trouble. Like, I don't know whose that is. I'm not even going to get into this, but mom is going to be so pissed." And she's like, "I'm going to have to tell him and his friends to clean up after themselves." What? Like, she was just mad that the place was messy, not that she was holding a bong.
The bong has a place, Killian. You put it in the bong cupboard.
It's not Killian's bong. It was clearly one of his friends' bongs.
Plausible deniability. Nick Plastino lived there, at the time.
Listen,
it was also just a rotating place where just borderline hobos would end up moving in.
Your
our
buddies did that. Your buddies turned it into Hobo Palace. My
true,
buddies were always very respectful of the fact that, like, as long as we don't blow this, we can do whatever we want.
They weren't respectful.
It was like international waters.
We lived in fear still. We lived in fear of Mom's iron fist. She was called the Iron Fist of Fury for a long time by a lot of my friends because she used to just get so angry at so many of us. And she did. You guys, we broke her, and she just gave up by the end of it.
She spanked Killian once when he
Understandably,
was a
she
senior.
did.
It was great.
Yeah,
Senior in high school,
No,
she
I
spanked
wasn't
him.
a senior. I had to graduate high school. I was a
Oh
college
my
student
God,
at that
Killian was in
point.
college. He got spanked.
So,
It was
For the
awesome.
record, I was a full-grown adult. When
and
that
Mom
happened.
spanked you? Why?
He was just trashed.
I hadn't eaten dinner. I had asked for a Michelob Ultra, and somebody gave me a double vodka soda.
All right, well, that's very close.
I did that about 10 times.
Less calories.
Yep. And then she told me and Killian's friend Nick Plastino that he needed to come inside right now, to which Killian said, "You tell her to basically get bent in so many words." And so we went inside and we're like, "Killian's not coming inside." And she was like, "Yo, go get her right now." So me and Nick went back and we're like, "She's not messing around." So we helped him inside. We assisted him up the stairs.
Escorted me.
And she took one look at him and was like, "Go to your room," and swatted him on the butt. And Killian just mumbled himself back to his room.
No, I mumbled to her. Apparently, we don't debate anything in this household. Because in my mind, we were having a very civilized
Hold on, I
discussion
feel like we need
over
this.
the ethics of drinking at the age of 19.
Well, how did that go? How did that go?
It went really well.
Yeah.
It was
made his
amazing.
point.
What is this? Is this a
This
lawnmower?
says drum beating fast. I thought it was going to be like a snare drum.
Yeah.
So like a military snare drum where I could like have you deliver your debate points to a drum thing.
Apparently,
but it did not
we
work.
don't debate
There was
anything
only-
in
there
this
was-
house
yeah, there
anymore.
wasn't-
They sent you to a different school when you didn't want to go. We've never debated it.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
never a debate.
I thought we were having a discussion over the ethics of drinking after you've graduated high school, and whether or not I was in my right
Well-
as an adult to make my own choices. And no, that didn't come out at all. It was
You
just
brought
drunk
arguments
Drunk
to
mumbling and
you brought arguments to a spank fight. You can never bring logic to a spank fight. I remember I had that same run-in with Mom my first year back from college. I came home for the summertime, and I remember like the first week I stayed out. Like I stayed at a girl's house that I was hanging out with because I was like, listen, I'm 19 years old. I'll stay where I want.
I'm a grown man.
Like what time?
I know everything.
What time do you need me home tomorrow? She's like, wow, we're gonna be going and getting hay bales for the barn at whatever time. And I was like, fine, I'll see you then. I'm coming up the driveway, and she goes, if this is how you're gonna live from now on, we're gonna seriously have to sit down and reassess whether or not it's okay if you live here. And I'm like, I'm trying not to live here now. What are you talking about? I just didn't have access to the dorms at the University of Laverne during the summertime.
And it's they did that same thing to me when I came back, and it was like I had already been living on my own for like 6 months, and I came back, and she's like, we're going to send down some ground rules if you're going to be living here. I was like, you asked me to move back in. Like, I will gladly go away. You like suggested it as a good idea. Maybe a couple months.
You're like, Mom, whatever.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone.
You're a real boner killer.
So I remember the first time that I really went to the University of San Francisco. You went to the University of San Francisco.
I did, yeah.
I remember the first time I went there was during Beta Breakers.
Oh, baby.
And I didn't even know what it... I thought you kept saying Beta Breakers. So I was thinking it was a big, like, fraternity party or something.
Oh.
Like Beta Breakers. It's where all the betas and alphas and sigmas and kappas hang out. And we drink a bunch of beer. We try to, like, tap some kegs and stuff.
Butt chugging and stuff.
I had no idea. Why did you just put the brakes on him?
I didn't even know that I said that. It just came out.
Because you're fidgeting with pens and pencils and stuff. Are you feeling okay?
I'm fine.
Are you sure?
I
I'm
had
nervous
blood
about
draws.
this test.
I know. They're going to be like,
This
you
is
have...
getting antsy.
This is the hardest test Pat's ever taken.
I know. And I don't pass tests often, okay?
He walked
guys?
out.
a terrible
He walked
test
out of the
taker.
SAT. Let's hope he makes it through the AIDS test.
Yeah, how was the AIDS test? I got a passing
Man,
grade.
this is
What does that
man.
I passed.
I
It was positive. I think they said it was all
Nailed it.
positive. I nailed
This
it.
is a pretty confident line of jokes. Maybe we're a day early on. I thought. Oh God! It was. I know this could really end up being not so good.
If there's a way to jinx it, we just figured out how. Let's just assume he doesn't have AIDS.
So I remember I didn't know that it basically Beta Breakers.
Oh my gosh! It makes a frat party look tame.
It's wild.
Well, it's
so
a San
wild.
Francisco frat party. So basically, well, not frat party for San Francisco, but it's the equivalent
like
of
a street
everybody.
party.
Yeah, and it's built around a race from
It's
the
built
bay to
around
the ocean.
The bay to the ocean. The original one was after the earthquake that led to a huge San Francisco fire, and so it was a way to build morale among the city. And then it had turned into this debauchery of people building their own floats, and the entire idea of figuring out how you could build a float that could hold the most amount of alcohol.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
So
It was great.
I didn't know what it was. I was walking down a hill. We were looking for you guys, and Pat was with us. Pat didn't really know what it was either
I
at the
pieced
time.
out. I ended up not going back to LA when I was supposed to that day, and ended up staying in San Francisco with some girl for like 36 hours.
Oh, man,
Jizz Lane was her name.
That little
That's
story.
a real thing.
That little story.
That is a
We
real
talked
thing.
about jinxing that test before. That story didn't help.
Just kicking it with jizz.
So I'm walking down this steep hill until towards the Panhandle area of Golden Gate Park, and I'm walking with my buddy, and we're talking, and all of a sudden I come across I'm walking, and there's two cars, and in between the cars are two girls peeing next to each other in the street. Right?
Oh, yeah,
And I'm like,
it's just-
whoa, okay. Well, I you got to pee somewhere, I guess. And I look around, and because we were walking down a hill with cars, there were people peeing everywhere.
Yeah.
There was like girls peeing all over the place. And then I come around the corner, and I see a man
It's like
wearing
heaven.
a robot helmet, and he's just got a raging boner.
And he has no clothes on.
No clothes on.
Yeah.
And he's just naked with a
the whistle.
naked with a robot helmet on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? I think you guys were dressed as Revenge of the Nerds. Was that
we were
the year?
Somali pirates one year.
Yeah, that was.
And we
brutal.
filled our
culturally
our
sensitive.
super soakers with
Jeez.
4 Locos and walked around. Or no, Jews.
It's a pretty good movie. Juice?
Jooze.
Jews. Yeah, you really got to hit that Z on that one, bud.
Yeah.
No, we were, I think, American Gladiator that year.
American Gladiator?
Yeah, American Gladiator.
Yeah.
What else have you guys been on that? Because you guys always do theme costumes. It's like look, it's the most fun. I want to go do it. Beta Breakers. I want to go do it for real because I never did it before.
Can't drink anymore on it. It's
Yeah, they're a little bit. It's a little bit more buttoned up now.
Why? What happened? Was there an incident?
Somebody fell off a roof.
Something
I mean,
about
an incident other than a man with a robot helmet and a boner walking through?
something about
A
the
million girls peeing outside. It was
Yeah,
like my
exactly.
Super Bowl.
the people that live on the parade route weren't too happy with the amount of garbage that was left over at the end. Of the
Oh, yeah. After that, so I went to find my buddy who had was living the same similar existence as Patrick, and we were all supposed to leave to go back to Los Angeles the next morning. And I couldn't find. Oh no, that afternoon.
Yeah.
And because that thing happens in the morning, and we were going to leave at like 5 o'clock that night, and I couldn't find my buddy, couldn't find Pat, couldn't find anybody. And I'm driving through or alongside Golden Gate Park, and it just looked like The Walking Dead.
Oh, it's crazy.
Because everybody's costumes are just demolished. Whatever they're missing wigs, they're missing all the props, and they're on that mode where you're so drunk, and all you're doing is like the functioning part of your brain, like the frontal lobe stops working, and all it is the back lobe, the rear lobe of your brain that is just like making sure you can get home. Like your body's just going through the motions.
Autopilot.
Yeah, you look like a zombie stumbling around, and had to track those people down. But the thing is, it's just a disaster. So I can't imagine why people would have a problem.
Wonderful time. I had a wonderful.
What was your
time.
favorite thing about San Francisco?
Oh man, there's so much, man. I was there for about 10 years, so it's
Doesn't that seems old to say
yeah,
stuff
it does.
like that.
Actually, no, it's even longer.
I've lived
than
in the
that.
same
Jesus.
house for 10 years.
Yeah.
Jeez, you old geezers.
I know. Yeah, so anyone who says I have fear of commitment, yeah, ask my house. Okay? How about that? Ask my house how afraid of commitment I am.
Well, Killian, I think we sufficiently dodged all bullets in terms of you getting in trouble.
I haven't even got my AIDS test back yet. We haven't dodged
we
anything.
haven't dodged yours yet.
It's a giant.
Your what
massive-
test?
My STD test. Real boner killer.
Thanks for hanging out, Killian.
Thank you, guys.
People can find you on social media at what? At K-Moot?
At K-Moot, yeah.
At K-Moot. Go check him out. He actually does some really, really, really good work. Despite what you hear from Pat and I, he does really, really solid work in social justice. Patrick at Pat Moote. I'm at Moot Points. Thanks so much for listening. We may get another episode out this week. Don't bet on it. Kidding.
We're
Please
trying.
Hold me to it. 2 a week. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Do you guys want to go get a hamburger?
Right now, you can get both Sprint's unlimited plan and the all-new Samsung Galaxy S10 included for just $35 per month per line for 5 lines. All you need is approved credit and an 18-month lease. No trade-in required. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com, or call 800-SPRINT-1.
S10 148 gigabyte, $10 a month after 2050 month credit applied, then 2 bills are canceled early. You may balance due unlimited basic after 930/20, pay $32 per month per line. Auto pay data defertilization to congestion speed maximum 0 stores and restrictions apply.